I'm Benny Westside, and welcome to the crash course for Oath. Today we're going to discuss Oath's abilities, T4 upgrades, ISO 8 options, how much you should build her, Dark Dimension prospects, and then I'm going to talk about my plan. I have a spoiler here up on the screen. This is the infographic. This is basically going to be like a summary of it. But in the video, we're going to discuss in detail why I reached some of these decisions. You can feel free to screenshot this right now, but I'll also link it down below if you want to go ahead and give it a like for support. So yeah, let's get on into it. Before we start, if you've noticed or felt like I'm slipping away, it is true. I've been making less and less content. I've just been really busy with work, so I have very limited time, and I don't feel like the game is providing enough worth my short amount of time that I do have. It's a rough period for me for Marvel Strike Force. Let's see how it goes. I'm still doing these crash courses. I haven't felt like streaming in a long time. Any other types of videos, I don't know. Let's see. I do have the crash course for Karen, and I'll have one for Man Thing for sure coming up. Alright, let's get into it. Let's start with the passive, Vampiric Vow. Before we start with this passive, she is one of the key characters for this team, and you're gonna see. On this character or any Nightstalker ally's turn end, attack the most injured enemy with exposed for damage or for piercing, and then she's gonna decay their buffs by one turn, similar to Thanos Endgame. In raids, she's also going to copy and clear 2 debuffs from each Nightstalker ally to the exposed enemy, and she's also going to apply regen to self and all Nightstalker allies. So this is a cleanse mechanic basically in raids. On enemy death, she's going to generate energy for Nightstalker, and in raids, give them 25% speed bar, similar to how Jubilee was. In raids, on spawn, she's going to generate 6 energy for self on all Nightstalker allies. This is to help with sims. And then on enemy controller turn, so it could have just said North Star, apply safeguard to self and all Nightstalker allies. It's really annoying, this type of call out. I find it very lazy. They will put in characters in the nodes to make it tough for the previous team, like North Star, and then they will do very blatant, very hyper-focused callouts like this, so that the new team has an easier time with it, instead of just building the team better. It is what it is. The T4 upgrade on spawn, on offense, fills speed bar by 5% for self and all allies, and then it increases the piercing damage to the exposed enemy. So I'm seeing a lot of posts where people tried Agatha, Blade, and Moon Knight in the raid, and the reason that didn't work is you're missing the 2 key characters. You're missing Karen, who's giving energy, and you're missing Man-Thing, who's giving speed stat to the team. So without them, they're gonna kind of fall apart. But Karen's here. So one more to go. This, I would say, is an essential T4 for Karen as a character. Maybe not for the team. This T4 means she's going to have a very long life. Look at Cable, still in use. Karen's gonna be that, if nothing else. But she also has other things, like we're gonna talk about her ability blocks, etc. But also this exposed mechanic where she can decay buffs. That's gonna be really valuable. So this is a character who's here for the long run, FYI. Alright, let's look at her ultimates. On a 6-turn cooldown, and it starts ready. Attack all enemies for piercing. Apply exposed, 2 bleed, and heal block to primary. In raids, She's also going to apply 2 bleed and heal block to all other enemies. This attack gains 20% damage against enemies with Safeguard. That's nice. This attack is unblockable, undodgeable, and cannot be countered. The T4 adds 60% piercing to all enemies. I think that's a big high value jump. It's piercing and it's all enemies. And it's somebody in the new stat class. In raids, apply an additional bleed and trauma to the primary. In raids, apply 3 bleed and trauma to all other enemies. For raid purposes, this is an essential upgrade. Outside of raid, it's a high value one, but not necessarily essential. That trauma's going to be really nice for raids. Alright, her special 4-turn cooldown starts ready. Steal 20% health from primary and redistribute to self, only self. This bypasses heal block. Apply ability block to primary. Attack primary and adjacent for piercing and apply 2 bleed. In raids, she's going to steal 40% instead of 20%. And this attack cannot be dodged. It can be blinded, but it can't be dodged. The T4 adds 50% piercing to primary and secondary. Increases the ability block from 1 turn to 2 turns. And then she also applies heal block to primary and adjacent. I think this is very high value. It doesn't change the functionality all that much, even though heal block is very, very nice. Especially considering somebody like Peter B in that, I think, is it the first or second node? There's a Peter B. I think it's the second node. So it's very, very high value. I would definitely recommend it. I'm hesitant to call it essential, but it's very good. Alright, let's look at her basics. Sanguine Strike. Attack primary for piercing, apply bleed and heal block. In raids, 50% chance to apply exposed. And then when she's forced to attack an ally, she won't apply exposed or negative effects to Nightstalker allies. This cannot be countered or dodged. The T4 adds 60% piercing and makes the exposed go from 50% chance to always. I'm gonna call this essential, but like a light essential, if that makes sense, because her exposed mechanic isn't like Vol's. Vol's gave ability energy to the whole team and gave Vol speed bar. But this 2 debuff cleanse is also very good. So I think it's still, even though light, it's essential. And the thing is, it's only for raids. So keep that in mind. Yeah. If you're not going to use her in raids, then you can skip this T4. And I think that would apply to the ultimate as well, because the T4 upgrades apply mostly to the raid callouts. All right, now let's talk about Isolate. My instinct is Raider, because she has multi-hit on her special and ultimate. Her basic is single target, but on her passive, she has passive aggression, and that's very frequent as well. So we're gonna get good boosts out of Raider. With Blade, Raider is also going to make sense to trigger that assist mechanic. I think people are gonna want to run Striker because she applies exposed on basic. To me, that doesn't make sense unless you didn't put the T4 in it, because her ultimate already applies exposed. Her basic already applies exposed. It's similar to Vol. There's no reason to run her as Striker because 2 out of her 3 abilities already apply the exposed. Sorry, there's no reason to run Striker because of the exposed. Because two of her 3 abilities already apply exposed, so you can't like put 2 stacks of exposed on a character. It would only make a difference on her special. That said, she also applies bleed, but that's about it. I think Raider's the call. I wouldn't recommend Striker. If you want to go with it, go for it. But I think Raider's the way. That's my 2 cents. All right. In terms of building her, now, as I said, she's going to transcend her team, and she'll be a valuable asset going forward. Just even if it's just for that 5% speed bar. But unlike Cable, she also has an ability block. She has this decay mechanic, so she has a lot going for her, and she has the current stats. Now, that's just Oath. Now let's talk about the team. I've been vocal about this before. If you have Mephisto in the current state of the game, this team is an optional team because there's no content they are required for. If you want to sim it, if you don't want to think about the raid, then build the team. But if you have Mephisto, the team's not that important. Especially if you have Odin, then Odin and Mephisto make the current raid very easy. Now, that might not be the case for the next raid, or the next legendary event, or the next tower, but that's all to come. So, I'm just laying out the facts for you. If you want to build her, or if you want to build the team, go for it. Now, I recommend building Oath regardless of the team, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to buy her. If she had been a 2-star unlock and I could have unlocked her for $25, I would have been tempted and I might have bought her. But as is right now, I'm not going to spend $50 on her. But when I do get her 2, 3, 4 months later, I will build her. I'm planning on gear 18, level 95, and then I'll go from there. I think she's going to be a good asset for Crucible and War. I would recommend, similarly, going with maybe gear 18. But the thing with her is, stats help her. She has damage, she has control. Stats help her, so the higher that you build her, the better. But she's a controller, and she's also kind of kit-based. So if you are really tight on resources for this team, let's say you don't have Mephisto, you have to build this team for raids, for whatever, but you're tight on resources, she is someone you can kind of hold back on by using a focus crutch from Skirmisher. You can run her as Skirmisher 5 or whatever and get that focus bump and keep her gear 16, 17, I don't know. Just hold back so that you can put more resources into somebody like Blade or Man-Thing or Agatha. So that's my recommendation, and it's good that we have a lot of options right now. So think about which situation you're in and go for that. Now, in terms of Dark Dimension, I don't think she's like a shoe-in or a standout, but she'll do okay. She has a health steal ability. She has ability generation for herself, even if you're not running her with Nightstalkers. What she's lacking is sustain, so you would want to run her with somebody that's going to keep her alive. Peter B, for example, only heals all allies on his ultimate. His other abilities only heal tag specific. For City, I think Red Goblin is someone that heals everyone. but you can't do that for Dark Dimension 8. I think the thing is, like, for City, we already have great options where these guys don't just find, they don't find a space. Blade would be somebody to help keep her alive because he gives 30% drain. So keep those things in mind. Yeah. I wouldn't like specifically recommend her. I wouldn't tell you don't take her either, you know? I would just be like, evaluate your options. If you do want to take her, be deliberate on who you're bringing with her. That's my recommendation. I think that's about it, right? Yeah. Let me know your thoughts. Are you going to buy her? Are you going to build her? Do you care about this team? Let me know what your thoughts are. Thank you for going over Karen Page Oath with me. I hope to see you in the next one.